What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint Predictions podcast, coming to you from Smark at Moment Smack Talk, and I am Tony Mango, as always, joined by Robert D. Felice.
My fellow Americans, the State of the Union is not good.
No, it is not. This is the not-so-great American bash, and I say that for two different reasons. One, because of the state of the country being the absolute shithole that it is. There goes my monetization. And also because NXT is just not good right now. And this event is very indicative of it. So you're in for one of those, I can just curse already, one of those bitch fests of an episode. Because this...
I'm going to try to make it a little more eloquent, but yeah, it's going to be a bitch fest.
Lots of complaints, not many positives for us to break down here. But we will talk about some... some middling podcast positives on here. We're not just going to rag on absolutely everything, but we're going to run down the whole event as far as what it is currently announced for. Now, we're being recorded right after NXT, so I highly doubt that anything is going to change over the course of the next few days. But of course, if they do end up adjusting anything to it, then we'll talk about that on the hot tags, unless, of course, they change something after the hot tags, and then we won't, because we can't do that. I can only do so much. I can't time travel yet. Or if I can, I haven't. I don't know how the rules work with that. But point being, Great American Bash is happening opposite AEW All In. So you should check out our predictions rundown for All In Texas, because that AEW show is looking way better than this one is. And I know, given the option between the two of them, if I were not forced to be like doing the coverage for everything like that, and I was just watching one or the other, I know I would not be watching NXT, because this show does not have a lineup that feels in any way must see. It doesn't even feel like it's maybe watch. It feels like it is existing for the sake of putting anything on opposite of All In. And if WWE thinks that this is really going to draw people away from AEW, I think they were really mistaken. This is a show that is going to be watched by people like you and I, who are going to have both shows on, and it's going to be watched by people that will watch anything from NXT and never watch anything AEW related. Maybe some people are going to be watching this because they're going to have the idea in mind of, I don't want to pay for All In, and if I already have Peacock, then I could just watch this in Saturday night's main event. But again, those are the same people that probably wouldn't have paid for AEW anyway. So this is certainly not going to win people over. And I think, if anything, this episode of NXT from tonight and the lineup for this are hurting the brand than helping anything. Because, I'm going to complain about tonight's NXT and the way that this card is bit by bit.
I told you that, I believe this card is exposing how bad NXT has gotten. Because it was 6 months ago when it felt like, hey, NXT is kind of hot right now. They're on the CW. They've got this great women's roster. And this show is coming on the heels of Dark States of Bust. I don't know why I started there. That's not where you start. But you've called up 3 of your main women. You fired Cora Jade. Jordynne Grace should have just beaten Stephanie Vaquer. I understand why she didn't, but she should have. Trick Williams is a hot star on another company, which it maybe is arguably making him look less than as well. I could go on, because just genuinely, the state of NXT is not good. And I like NXT.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I love NXT. I love its roster, but it's what they're delivering isn't good right now.
So I think we can kind of save a little space on the hot tags by talking about tonight's NXT and looping that into the Great American Bash. And, we have a lot of topics that we're going to get into for the hot tags. So once we talk about ROH Supercard of Honor and we talk about Saturday night's main event and everything else that's happening, I don't think it's going to be missed out that you and I will still have the same conversation, and Callum doesn't watch NXT, so he wouldn't be a part of this anyway. So we're going to break down both those things here. And as always, we want to know what you guys have to say too. So drop your thoughts in the comment section below on YouTube. If you're all, blah, 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 blah. If you're over there on YouTube, then make sure you also hit the like button, subscribe, ring that notification bell, get your email alerts set up for the post shows as well. That's something that you should always do. And if you want to help us out on the monetary side of things, click on the thanks button, toss a little spare change our way. It's kind of the same as doing the super chats. If you're not able to join us live, of course, if you are, do the super chats too. But there's also the join button. And if you're on the $1 a month tier, that's awesome. $5 a month, ad block forgiveness, early access to certain things, dark cast episodes, or, the $10 tier. It's the same stuff as Patreon. Either way, anything you guys do to support us is really, really greatly appreciated. TeePublic and Redbubble is also where you can pick up your merchandise. And keep in mind that we have our Discord server, so you could always chat it up at any point in time for all the different channels that we have over there. But yeah, leave a comment and tell us what you think. You could totally disagree with us too. And I'd like to hear the arguments in opposition of what we are saying, because Rob and I are very much on the same page here. We're going to be crapping on essentially the same things. And one of the things to talk about here is on the opening match for NXT tonight, there was a gauntlet match. Ricky Saints defeated 3 of the 5 members of the Vanity Project. Now, you're not really supposed to refer to it as that. And that's because WWE in this kind of scenario would want you to go, man, he went through the whole Vanity Project, and not pay attention to the fact that there are 2 other members. One of them, of course, is a woman, Zeta Steele, so she wouldn't have been involved in it anyway. But they purposely did not put Bryce Donovan in here. Why? Well, I think it's because they didn't want Bryce Donovan to lose. And the last time that they just did a Vanity Project gauntlet, it was Super Sean Legacy, with him beating Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes and losing to Bryce Donovan. So they did the thing of, for some reason, we'd rather protect Bryce Donovan than to protect the WWE Evolve champion in Jackson Drake. I don't understand the philosophy behind that.
Neither do I, but I love me some Vanity Project.
They are the best thing in Evolve, hands down, easily.
They are cheeky. They are everything I like about wrestling.
And they fit the mold for what they need to be. They're young, they're talented. You look at like a Zeta Steele, you look at her and it's like, okay, she's hot, she's young, she knows what she's doing in the ring better than some of the people that are already in NXT, and certainly people that have been on NXT for longer that are now on Evolve. That downgrade is pretty high up there. But Vanity Project lose, which means that Ricky Saints not only gets a North American title match at Great American Bash here, but he gets to pick the stipulation behind it. And he says that he wants to dog walk, as Jacob Fatu would have said. So I guess, I don't know, he's just copying that. All throughout Atlanta, and, beat the shit out of Ethan Page in a Falls Count Anywhere match. I love Falls Count Anywhere matches. To me, they are not done as well as they should be, or as often as they should be, because it's just a no DQ match with more fun to it. And they tend to not do them all that often in WWE, so I'm always curious why they decide to do that. Because, let's face it, Falls Count Anywhere is a no DQ match. If you have the fall take place in the ring, it's not a Falls Count Anywhere match anymore. And if you felt the need to make it a Falls Count Anywhere match, then there's probably a reason why they want this to go down in some other fashion. But that goes against my prediction, because I just assumed that Ricky Saints is winning the title back. And realistically, he shouldn't. Because if this is no DQ, like a typical Falls Count Anywhere match is, Jackson Drake, Brad Baylor, Ricky Smokes, and even Bryce Donovan should be there to help Ethan Page. And it should be 4, if not 5-on-1. And Saints doesn't have anybody that's really backing him up, because the only other person that really hates Ethan Page as much is already in another match on this show. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's the reason why it's a Falls Count Anywhere match, is so that other people can get involved and Saints can lose. But then I kind of go, well, then why aren't you putting the title back on him? Are you moving him up to the main roster? Or are you just dragging it out? Or, who's going to be the next champion after Ethan Page then, if it's not Ricky Saints? Kind of questioning it a little bit now.
So I'm going to go full conspiracy theorist and say that, first of all, Falls Count Anywhere is a great match for these two. They've been fighting all the time. Ava just wants them to stop. I suggested cage match. Falls Count Anywhere is a lot easier to do. You don't need to build a cage. I think this is the one match that's going to get wild, going to get fun, and maybe it gets wild enough and fun enough that people chant Tony fumbled. As stupid as it is, I think that's a good reason why. Because I think maybe they're like, yeah, they'll kill it. They'll have fun. People will have fun. They'll chant Tony fumbled. But whether or not I think Ethan Page should win, I'll be honest, I would rather, if the Magic Invisible stipulation was loser gets called up, I'd rather Ricky Saints go up. Because I think Ethan Page will get lost in the shuffle. Ricky Saints has the ability to LA Knight his way up, I think, where even if they try to, lose him in the shuffle, he's so charismatic. Not that Ethan Page isn't, but I think Ethan Page could be groomed to be a replacement Miz. And I already don't like how they treat the Miz.
I can see where you're going.
Good, because that feels mean. But I want to say, Miz is one of my favorite wrestlers.
Yeah, Miz is great.
I've actually seen a good string of wrestlers lately, including Kevin Owens and Xavier Woods, touting how great the Miz is, which is awesome. Miz,
underrated and overlooked for sure.
Underappreciated and definitely overlooked because he is like the quintessential WWE superstar. But because he's the quintessential WWE superstar, I think they should have done more with him. And it's for that reason that I say I don't want Ethan Page to go that route.
So right now, I'm going to say I still think that Saints is winning the title back, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if this is just the setup so that he can lose by other people getting involved. Page is certainly not winning this without help.
And I will say, if they are already switched Vanity Project to just being Page's lackeys, it is a perfect fit, all ego in the Vanity Project. I mean, like it just works. I'm good with that. I'm good with whatever they decide. Although I do think you call up, Donovan and Zeta as well. Even though Zeta is like, maybe that's why, because Donovan and Zeta are like actively doing indies. Because I think Baylor and Smokes are as well, but maybe not as much.
Maybe. Now, if they don't put the title back on Saints, there's nobody that stands out to me that would be like, okay, well then that guy's probably the one that beats Page. Because they've already done the Evans thing over and over again.
Yeah, but do it again. He should be. he should be champion.
He should have been a champion by now. Yeah. So another thing that happened on this episode, this does not factor into Great American Bash directly, but it could have. Is Charlie Dempsey beat Tavion Heights by submission, but he doesn't really make the submission victory on his own. He's locked in. Heights doesn't tap out, but Ren Sinclair throws in the towel. So Tavion does not get the opportunity to leave the no quarter catch crew. To me, that would have had a little bit more weight to it than at least one of the other matches that's on this show, but yeah, different story.
I think there's a lot of weight in the match you're referring to.
That, okay, whatever. So Tavion is still in the exact same position. It's just, you know, it is what it is. There was a backstage segment where Hank and Tank were trying to, you know, build up some hype for their tag team title match, which they retain. That's it. They retain it. They beat the culling. Okay.
You want to talk about their finisher?
How much it sucks. I don't know what they're even trying to do, because one of them goes for a power slam. I think it's Walker that goes for the power slam, and Ledger just sort of charges forward and like taps the guy. I don't know if he's supposed to be trying to like spear the back of the head of somebody in the opposite direction. It makes no sense. It's quite literally another example of, and this happens a lot in WWE, where people think that they have a tag team finish, but it's really, I'm going to do a move and then you're going to do a move. And I hate them all. I forget what it is. It's somebody on SmackDown does this. I don't remember if it's like Fraxium or if it's DIY, but like somebody, they do like a move where it's like they kick the person and then do like a slam or something. You know what I'm talking about? I'm blanking on it.
I'm not sure.
Somebody does like the equivalent of that. Like if they were to do like a power slam, but before they slam the person, when they're just holding them up, the other person just like does an enziguri or something, or like a shining wizard, which is like one of the lamest moves. And it just comes across as like you basically like tapped them on the back, and then the other person just did a move anyway.
Is that what Jacy and Loomis do?
Maybe it's Jacy and Loomis. It's somebody on SmackDown, I'm pretty sure, but my brain's too fried. And I hate it all, because it's like there are so many cool ways to do tag team finishers. You could do like a neck breaker power bomb combo, or you could do like the Doomsday Device, or you could do somebody locks in a sharpshooter and somebody else locks in an STF or something. Like, you can do tag team moves where you're doing two things at the same time. You don't just do one move and then another one and call it a tag team finisher. Oh, I'm going to punch you, and then that other person's going to punch you. It's a 1-2 thing. Ugh. So that Hank and Tank thing was lame, but even lamer was a backstage thing with them earlier, where when they were hyping themselves up, Lexus King is just walking around just tapping on things like a bored kid.
Hey, he's skinny now.
Was he not before?
Oh, are you not aware of this?
No. What's happening?
His thing on Twitter is just like, I'm skinny Lexus King now. Like,
did Scott Steiner call him fat? Like, what happened?
I don't know what was the launch for this, but what's his name? Stax was like, he put out a list of dream opponents for the Heritage Cup, and number one on the list is Fat Lexus King.
Fat Lexus King?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find something on this. Because I do see that there's a thing, something about Booker T from a year ago said, Lexus King, I just need him to lose 8 pounds just because television makes him look a little bigger in the wrong areas. I'll work with him on that.
That I would be willing to bet everything that's it right there.
From a year ago, and it took him a year to be like, I guess I'll lose those 8 pounds.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, well, now I'm seeing, okay, so he lost 23 pounds in 6 weeks. All right, good for him. But why is he still just like testing out the garage door?
Because he's making some noise, Tony. He's making an impact.
Oh, so he's going to TNA. Okay.
I'm surprised he hasn't.
You would think that he would be one of those great options for that, right?
Dark State is over there right now.
Oh, yeah, because you know that they're doing some great stuff. Dark State's like, hey, remember how we haven't done anything in 3 months?
Why haven't they put them in a 4-on-4?
They haven't done that a single time. They've only done triple threats and tag team matches. And they don't have any direction. It's just nobody's safe. And that's the only promo that they cut. Hey, do you remember that nobody's safe? We're Dark State. Nobody's safe. Just checking in. Are people safe? No, because we're Dark State. It's terrible. It's fucking Retribution again. And it seems like WWE just like, we don't have anything for them perpetually. So let's just send them to TNA.
I'm good with that.
But in that same backstage segment where Lexis King was just like, oh, I guess this is how doors work. Javon Evans got jumped by Jasper Troy. And then that happened like 3 more times on this episode. And I like Jasper Troy. I like Javon Evans. I couldn't care less about this. They're going to have a match at Great American Bash, whatever. Jasper Troy wins.
This is going to be great. They have the ability here to create something special. Javon Evans is insanely athletic.
That he is.
He's also light as a feather. And Jasper Troy is that monster.
He's a monster.
MOUNSTAH. Monster.
No bread, no water. The amount of times per week that I think of no bread, no water, just meat.
Like
it's past half a dozen.
Booker T's out here giving all the neurodivergent wrestling fans new vocal streams.
Oh, it's 100%.
On a weekly basis.
Tell me again how the Whoop That Trick song goes. I know the whole fucking lyrics. Like, you know.
Whoop that trick.
Yeah,
I
like
trick.
it.
I like it.
Oh yeah, man. That trick.
It's like, you see how we just took 2 minutes out of this podcast to do that? Because it's funny. I understand why people don't like Booker T, but I need you to understand he's great and he does good things.
He is the WWE equivalent of Taz, where it's like, I don't care what they're saying, it's gonna be funny. Like, there was a thing on AEW the last Dynamite, I think it was, where they did a little Superman tie-in, and it cut back from the commercial, and Taz just goes, bleh. And it just took a couple seconds and nobody said anything. And I was just like, did he find it funny? Was he laughing at something else? Was he just like, that was kind of stupid or like whatever? But it was just this awkward thing. And like, anytime that Booker starts talking, I'm like, fuck yeah, go ahead, Booker.
During the commercials, they just crack each other up for the Triller audience. They don't do it on TBS. But during the commercials, it's just jokes.
So good.
Yeah, all that to say, like, I genuinely, you can create a star with Jasper Troy here because he can just launch Javon and it'll look like, oh my God, he's going to kill him. Imagine launching Javon from the ring through the announce table. Or
it's a possibility too. Like, they could pull that off.
Yeah, I think they could totally pull it off. Or, you know, just a massive black hole slam with like 6 spins that are real quick. And Javon's great. And he's going to be a star in NXT. And like, this match, ironically, is probably one of the ones I'm most excited for, just to see, okay, what are you going to do with this?
It's the number 2 match that I'm like, I think Saints and Paige will be the better match, but this is the only other match that I'm actually interested in like seeing. But at the same time, the feud itself is so bare bones that like, this episode of NXT was just garbage. And for them to be like, how about Evans gets attacked and then he gets attacked and then he attacks Troy. And we just, that's your feud. Do better, you know? These guys deserve better. They're cooler than that.
I'm looking forward to this one. But obviously, that monster should get the win.
There was a tag team match. Mike Santana and Joe Hendry beat the High Rise, then got beaten down by Wesley and Trick Williams afterward. And this is all tying in with the contract signing because, you know, if you don't want to watch AEW All In and you don't want to see like the Okada Omega match or the women's world championship match, that's the biggest match between the 2 biggest women that they've ever promoted in the history of this company, or the Texas Dev match in Texas with Hangman Page against Jon Moxley, you might want to watch a contract signing instead. Fuck you. A contract signing for a TNA world championship match at a TNA Slammiversary,
which is essentially like the Royal Rumble in the middle of their WrestleManias.
Right. Do you want to watch any of those? Or do you want to watch Joe Hendry, Mike Santana, and Trick Williams cut a promo where Trick goes, none of you are going to beat me. And Joe Hendry's like, I'm going to win my title back. And Mike Santana's like, hey, Joe, I respect you, but I'm going to win the title. And then Trick goes, like I said, nah. And then they get into an argument that gets a little bit verbal, a little bit physical, where Hendry and Santana, like one pushes the other one or something. They start to fight and somebody gets put through a table. It's the exact same thing that happens every fucking time.
Let's talk about it. You just did. Yeah, Tony's right. This is fine. This is cool for TNA, you know. I think what's cooler is what'll happen at Evolution when Jordynne Grace basically becomes the number one contender for the TNA title and wins it next week. But this is cool for TNA as well.
Man, is this a Great American Bash not just an episode of NXT or what?
It's very apropos for the state of America. Where you're just like, there's potential here, but I don't like what you're doing.
Well, as far as potential and I don't like what they're doing, you mentioned Jordynne Grace is going to be facing Jacy Jayne at Evolution, and that is being represented here in a tag team match. It's Jordynne Grace and Blake Monroe, aka Mariah May, against two of the members of Fatal Influence, Fallon, Henley, and Jacy Jayne, with nothing on the line, of course, because it's a tag team match. It means absolutely nothing. It's just a matter of Grace pins Fallon, Henley, and then it's like, well, remember, she's got a match tomorrow, because Blake is not going to take a pinfall loss, and Grace is not going to lose unless there's some kind of like, Blake turns on her or something. But they decided they decided to do the big build up for this would be 2 segments on NXT of Jordynne Grace being like, let's work out, and Blake Monroe being like, how about we get our nails done instead? And then for some reason, Jordynne Grace is like allergic to like a manicure, and for some reason doesn't understand how a massage works. And
didn't Ruca just do this bit?
They just did it with the whole Zarya and Soul Ruca, like, you and I are not quite the same, and I would never eat ice cream, that kind of shit. I'm from New Zealand or Australia or whatever. What's Zarya from?
She's from Australia.
Australia? I don't know. Fucking somehow that means that they've never had ice cream before. And it was like, I don't fucking get it. I hate this shit so much. And this was a terrible segment on a terrible show. And the match is stupid. It's like, I get it. You're going to go. Don't you want to see Blake Monroe in her first match? And it's a tag match with 4 names, whatever. It's pointless. It's so... I hate this like trend that we're getting more and more into lately of why don't we book things the way that we did in the 80s? The 80s were boring. I don't want to watch Saturday night's main event where the hook is you get to see Hulk Hogan in the ring talk to Andre the Giant. I have Raw. I have SmackDown.
Are you sure?
They spend the first 15 minutes talking of every single episode with that anyway. Like, it mattered more to see names like that when WWE was like 1 hour a week, and it was, you don't get to see almost anybody do almost anything ever. Now that we have all this overabundance of TV, you can't make it less entertaining and say, yeah, but that's what we used to do. Well, you used to not have 3 hours of Raw and 3 hours of SmackDown and 2 hours of NXT and an hour of Evolve and an hour of LFG and a 2-hour pre-show for Evolution and a 4-hour Evolution card and a 2-hour Saturday night's main event and a 3-hour NXT and an hour-long pre-show. I'm gonna watch fucking 30 hours of WWE this week or something. I don't need to see this tag team match between Blake Monroe and Jordynne Grace against Fallon, Henley, and Jacy Jayne. It's not going to factor at all into making me more interested in seeing Jacy lose at Evolution. And I really I struggle to think of who it actually works on.
I think Blake is turning.
It's possible.
mostly because Sean reported that she's going to turn. It doesn't have to happen tomorrow, or what's today? It doesn't have to happen on Saturday, but I think it should happen. And I think honestly, I know that the group is well established, but has there ever been a better potential leader for fatal influence? I almost said toxic attraction, no. Fatal attraction, no. I had to think about that for a minute. Toxic
Flatulence?
influence. It's not flatulence. That's when Natalia's in the group.
She was a great part of tonight's NXT as well. We'll get to that in a little bit. But you think that that Blake's going to turn here?
I would jog my memory. Is Blake one of the names that they've announced for the Battle Royal?
So let's talk about that. Ava announced at the end of this episode that 6 women will compete in the Evolution Battle Royal, and she named, just arbitrarily, did not explain why these 6 and why these 6 only. But she said Izzi, Dane, Tatum Paxley, Kalani Jordynne, Lola Vice, Lash Legend, and Jada Parker. Now, a bunch of women elsewhere came into the mix. Natty, Maxine, Zelina Vega, Julia. So there you go. Julia's not getting a title defense. She's just going to be in the Battle Royal. Stephanie Vaquer, Ivy Nile, Candice LeRae. I'm blanking on anybody else necessarily, but they all came out. Stephanie Vaquer, yeah. They all came out, and it just led to a big brawl. Now, part of the brawl involved Fatal Influence, who was there, and Jordynne Grace. So that already is like, well, then is Fallon Henley in there? And is Jasmine Nix in there? And I guarantee you the answer is, well, who fucking cares if we didn't make any of this official? You'll find out when they either appear or they don't. Guarantee you that's how WWE is looking at this. Because somebody like me, I'm looking at this and I'm writing out on the updated pay-per-view card, these are the people that have been made official. These are people that have been on the ringside for this and are likely to be in there, but weren't made official because I don't know, a responsible person. I, wouldn't have had my WWE Universal Championship up for an entire year and then realized the mistake once I'm switching it for John Cena, which, by the way, Jackson Drake, not on the website. As far as WWE.com is concerned for the Superstars list, there is no men's Evolve champion.
The belt, Callie Armstrong on the website?
The Evolve Women's Championship is listed on there. Callie Armstrong was listed as a champion for 41 days, and there is literally no belt nor a page for Jackson Drake. So it's like, that's how. But then again, I like logic and I like doing my job well. And that's probably why I will never get hired by this company. So I don't know if that means that they can throw in a Fallon Henley and a Jasmine Nix and a Blake Monroe and just be like, it doesn't fucking matter if we didn't announce them. They're in here anyway. Don't you like it? Or if they are like, well, we don't want to announce that for some particular reason. Or if they just want to not put them in there and then go, well, we didn't say that they'd be in there. But it would be kind of weird if they just didn't have them involved. Like, Henley and Jayne and Nix are going to be all together in that match. And there's a chance that Blake Monroe comes out with Jordynne Grace and it's like the one that offsets the other people. But, like, is that it? Are you not going to put her in the Battle Royal? She's got her working boots on. I'm sure she could just stand in the ring with the rest of the people and fight for 10 seconds,
She's literally the last AEW Women's Champion.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to the current one they have right now. Why wouldn't you? This is the one that you rub in people's faces and say, look who we've got. Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Probably because they feel like they've got what they need out of her. They got the shock debut, and she's happy to take the long road.
But I'm going Blake and Jordynne win this tag match.
That makes the most sense. Man, and I don't know if Monroe is turning. I'd like to think she is, but I'm not sure. So I'll say Blake and Jordynne. Which, by the way, should be a bigger deal. Longest, long reigning TNA champ, long reigning AEW champ, teaming up on a WWE show. That is one of the few wins they have on this roster right now. Hopefully they're highlighted well.
Now, if they hadn't already announced the whole TNA element of this, then I would think that there could be more of a chance that Blake would turn and then cost Jordynne at Evolution. We'll talk about this, when it comes to Evolution a little bit more.
They could still do that because Masha has been interacting with Jacy on TNA TV. But the thing is, is Jacy really going to go from, wow, they really haven't done anything with her, to being a double champion?
And in spite of Jordynne Grace failing again to win that title,
If she fails a third time, I'm convinced, they're making you go through the ringer.
For no reason. Just like hazing or something.
Which she should have beaten Vicaire.
Yeah, she should have just done that.
Vicaire is very good. Very, very good. And Vicaire is a star for many reasons. I don't think they need to be protecting her as strong as they have been. But I guess that's a conversation for the Evolution chat tomorrow.
Couple little quick things from NXT that don't factor into this card. Kel Dixon's a pussy. That's been established for the third week in a row now. Now, I don't mean the guy himself. Of course, he could kick my ass. But, his character, for some reason, the past 3 weeks, it has been, I'm an idiot that doesn't understand school. Also, remember how I'm an idiot that doesn't understand school. Because they just repeated the same thing and did it again. And then this week, it was, my blood pressure is through the roof because I have a blood pressure cuff on too tight. Because, remember, I'm an idiot. And also, now that my arm is okay, I'm petrified to wrestle. And I don't want to do it. Please don't make me do it. The fuck are they doing with this?
Because I have the mentality of a 12-year-old. Tony said Dixon a pussy. But yeah, I don't like this chase you the new school gimmick. Uriah Connor should be running around with Charlie Dempsey. The Regal Finley connection is right there. Kel Dixon's fine. I don't know why they're doing this. People need to understand something. Aldrich University was silly. It worked for Thea because she was literally graduating high school.
Oh, they wanted you to know that too. They were obsessed with the whole she hasn't hit puberty yet type shit. That was creepy as all.
That was creepy. They spent a good year and a half on television basically having her hit puberty. It was very strange.
They came right up to the line of having somebody be like, here's how a tampon works. You got to imagine they probably had some discussions about that and went, I don't know, maybe that's too far, but they came close as all of that.
And I guess that was our savior for them not doing the Bodie Hayward got fired, so they couldn't do the Brazzers. Hey, step bro, we're roommates.
Well, they tried to do the Riley Osborne love story thing.
Yeah, which also went nowhere, and now that guy is unfortunately on the roster. But again, NXT is taking a lot of hits lately. And by the way, I couldn't help but notice Thea Hale's not one of the names in the Battle Royale, is she?
Nope. And
what
that
did
sucks.
This poor girl do to you? This poor girl is great. She should have been the NXT North American champion. She could have been the women's champion back when Tiffany would still hold the belt.
Yeah. I don't understand why they don't like her as much as they should.
I hate when that happens. I understand that everybody can make it, right? But I hate when they do the thing where it's like, oh, we just decided that this person's not going to make it.
Yeah. For seemingly arbitrary reasons. Because it's not like the crowd doesn't like her. It's not like she's not young enough to invest in. It's not like she's not entertaining enough on the mic and in the ring. But for some reason, they need to keep pushing that goalpost for her. And they really like this idea of Cal Dixon being a dumbass and a wimp. And I don't know. He's
Maybe
like, hey,
her arc is just I become teacher of Chase University.
maybe.
I mean,
I don't
it's
know.
stupid, but like, what else are you gonna do with this? Connors and Dixon can't be like this. Isn't sustainable.
No,
You need to find
it's
something more entertaining.
it's not going to do anything for either of them. And we shouldn't trust the great writing of they'll figure it out to the people that decided, hey, why don't we have Adriana Rizzo just show up and go?
I'm now wondering what the hell that all was. Like, well, why was she really out?
Yeah, was she like dealing with an injury? Was she getting some kind of surgery? And it took a while for that. Like, none of the story has made really any sense. And their big wrap up of the whole thing is apparently just going to be, I sat down and talked to Ava after spending however long in a hideout that everybody knew exactly where it was. I've decided you three should just fight each other and then never fight again, as if that solves anything. If Luca Crucifino pins Stax, does Tony D'Angelo not still dislike those two? If Stax beats the two of them, he's already beaten Tony D twice. What purpose does it solve? And if Tony D beats the two of them, then he goes, yeah, and you're still assholes. I don't fucking like you. So
she tweeted, the end of an era, heart emoji. Being a part of the Tony D'Angelo family is a chapter in my life that I'll cherish forever. We laughed, fought, celebrated, and built something special together. This wasn't just a faction, it was a family. As we all set off on our own paths, I'll carry the memories, lessons, and bonds we made for life.
So how long before, if they're splitting all up, that we get another metaphor situation? I'll carry this forever as I go to my next company because me and Crisfino get fired or something. Last time that a faction broke up in NXT was quite literally, we all should go our separate ways. Two of you are fired. The other one doesn't show up anymore. And then Lash Legend's still around.
I don't like it.
I don't like it at all. Now, that's not happening on the Great American Bash, but another thing that is happening at Great American Bash that I don't like.
All right, why isn't that happening on the Great American Bash?
Yeah,
they spent so much time on the storyline.
You would think that would make the most sense to maybe put that on there. But they're instead, hey, it's Oba Femi defending the NXT championship against Yoshiki and Inamura. And they did the thing this week where it's like Oba Femi's in the ring, Josh Briggs and Inamura are in the ring. Inamura cuts promo about, you're my toughest challenge, but I'm ready for the fight, etc. Oba Femi's like, nah, man. And then Josh Briggs cuts in, and the crowd did not care. They were giving him such static.
Josh Briggs, you'll always be a star to me.
It's a shame. Like, that dude was fun in Evolve. He seemed like he had so much potential, and it's perpetually not working. And it's making me be like, all right, I don't know if this was just like, maybe he doesn't have it, or maybe he has it and they aren't giving him what he needs or something. But this crowd could not have given a shit about what Briggs had to say. And of course, Oba Femi takes out Josh Briggs, then Yoshiki takes out Oba Femi, and they do the whole thing. But it's not like Inamura has the slightest chance of winning this. That would go on my list of the most surprising things of the entire year if he wins.
I would love to see it. I don't think it's happening. So like they did the thing where you get the video package and you see the Great Muda, you see some Noah guys. I want this to be a fun, hard-hitting championship match. A nice, strong style championship match.
Why do you think that they're doing this? Like, why Inamura versus Femi? And the last person that Femi fought was Miles Bourne, who was like out of nowhere. It's Miles Bourne. And then what's he done for the past 3 weeks?
You know what's weird about Sean and Hunter? There's a lot of parallels. I don't know if they're intentional, but I can draw parallels between Femi's reign to Gunther's 2025. Both dominant, both fantastic. Kind of like what you were saying earlier about let's book the 80s. Why are they being booked like, hey, you want to see Gunther fight Otis?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Because the thing is, this year's almost over, believe it or not.
Yeah, we're past the midway point.
Where we got less of it than we had than is behind us. You know, like I want better. Kind of like I was saying about Evolution when we did our women's talk last week. I want better. Like, it's not the wrestlers, it's the booking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even like when we used to talk in the Vince era about like, oh, here's this stupid. It's just like, hey, why? Why aren't you booking properly? You know what I mean?
I'd love, like, again, I've said this a million times for a million other reasons, but I would love to be able to sit down with people and just get honest answers out of them and just ask them the questions that they would hate to be asked. But, yeah, this applies to literally everything in the world. You know, we could ask the people that are supposedly running this country and be like, you do realize that this is completely hypocritical, that this is that, and that kind of stuff. You could ask Tony Khan in AEW and be like, here's the reasons why that unified title thing that you just talked about, it's stupid. And, you know, what's your rebuttal to that? I'd love to be able to ask and go, so why Inamura against Femi? And then when they would give us like the canned answer of like, well, we think he's a fun talent and this should be a really fun match, and be like, yeah, but do you realize that nobody that's watching this would think at any point that the title is on the line in actual like jeopardy? Why would you book something that you would specifically go, okay, it's pretty obvious who's going to win this? And you have a guy that you haven't built up. Yeah, he pinned Trick Williams in a 6-man tag. And then that means that he deserves to get a title shot. Oh, well, he beat Jasper Troy. Oh, you mean the guy that was just 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago fighting for an NXT contract, according to our kayfabe? So, a rookie. So,
right.
A guy who's not in the company, who hasn't built up a name for himself, because all he's done in NXT has been the loser tag team partner of Josh Briggs, who is a loser and can't do anything, and wasn't able to accomplish anything in the tag team division. He gets a lucky pin on a 6-man tag, and then he beats a rookie, and I'm supposed to believe that that's infinitely now boosted him from the equivalent of, like, if you're doing the 2K ratings, that he was a 40 and now he's 92. And then you go, no, well, you know, I mean, sometimes it's good to have a different opponent. Okay, well, what about all the other people in NXT? Why isn't somebody being built up that has the ability to cross over to that? Why is it you need to bring in a brand new somebody like that? Why couldn't you have used somebody like, say, like I liked to a certain extent when they threw Javon in there. Now they did it over and over again, but it was like, okay, you're betting on this guy and he's working his way up and he's winning a lot of matches and stuff. But whatever happened to like building up a Charlie Dempsey, or building up, I don't know, maybe even building up just fucking Josh Briggs? Like, that guy's been around for a long time.
Tavion Heights also.
Tavion Heights, like, Tony D'Angelo eventually reached a point where he beat Femi, and then you just dropped him off, and you know that wasn't existing anymore. And why couldn't you have built up those people instead? Why is Idris Enofe now in Evolve, and you didn't reach a point that he could even be fighting as a challenger for the North American title? But then Inamura is going to come in. Is he that big of a deal in Noah that you're like, we're going to get the Noah fans on here? Who the fuck watches Noah? You know? These people are popping up on the thing tonight, and it's like Io Sky and Great Muda, and then a bunch of names from Noah that I don't know. And they're all like, yeah, I want you to win and bring that title back to Noah. And I'm like, all right, well then, as a WWE fan, I don't know who the fuck these people are.
You don't know Noah?
Noah, the company?
I was gonna try to do a whole no Noah, no.
I don't know. I don't know a damn thing.
There you go.
But like Inamura, really, that's your big, like, again, to go back to a point from the beginning, this is something you think is really going to get people to go, sorry, man, can't join your backyard public watch of All In where we all party, or your big get together where we all drink beer and eat pizza and watch All In. I gotta watch that Yoshiki and Inamura match because he might beat Femi. What the fuck? And now Inamura's not like bad. It's not like he's like a shit wrestler or something, but like the dude wouldn't be in a position to win the North American title. Why is he fighting for he's fighting Femi, a guy who's only lost to Tony D'Angelo. A guy who could realistically go up against like a Brock Lesnar and it would be like, yeah, Femi should win. And you have him against Inamura? That's basically the same as saying, why don't we throw Dante Chen in there? Or like, how about we give that title match to Shanti the Adonis? Like, you know?
Well, I hope they surprise me. This is the one where I think they could. So, you know, maybe we get that.
Not a chance. Femi retains.
I mean, Femi retains. That's not the surprise.
What do you think the surprise is?
That's a good match.
I'm sure it'll be fine if you suspend your disbelief. But it'll require Femi taking more hits than I think that he probably should.
No, I want a good match. I don't want an okay match. I want, like, surprise me. Make people go out of their way to watch this one.
And funny enough, completely forgot about another match. Ruca is defending the Women's North American Championship against Izzi Dame.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's terrible on both of our parts.
Yeah. I was thinking about, we'll come back around to that with the other North American title, but then we ended up moving on to another topic instead or something. But now I had thought ahead of time too, that if the Culling would have won the tag titles, then I was going to go into this going, okay, Izzi Dame might actually win that. But now I'm just fully reverting back to the prediction I've said before. Ruca's dropping that belt to Zarya. So she beats Izzi Dame. Izzi Dame probably gets mad at Tatum. And maybe that's the end of that story too.
Yeah. I think she could win with Tatum's help, but I don't want to see Ruca lose.
And Ruca's not in the Battle Royal.
She's in the tag title match.
Right. So,
which is smart. Put her in the ring with Asuka, Kairi, and Charlotte.
I mean, she's going to kick ass in that match, yeah.
Yeah.
She's going to be the standout, for sure.
She'll be called up by SummerSlam.
Next year, you mean?
No, I mean,
or you think she's going to be called up by this?
I mean, like, she'll do so well that we got to have her.
That's a bold prediction. I don't think that's going to happen. But
I told you a year ago I'd build the roster around her. That was before the first knee injury, but I still think there's a lot of good vibes there.
I think she's great, and she's somebody that could be an NXT Women's Champion at any moment. Like the North American title, it's working for her, you know, whatever. But she could easily just be the champion, and yeah, Izzi Dame has been doing a lot better, I'll admit. But I would rather her not be champion. I'd rather Zarya win, get that belt, do that whole thing. It's possible that there's a title change here, but now that we know that the men's North American title is on the line, I think that between those two, if I'm going to bet on one of those belts changing hands, I think it's going to be Ricky Sainz, not that Izzi Dame wins. Could be both. I don't know.
I'm going to go Ethan Page, and I'm going to go Izzi Dame.
So that's the great alternative to All In. And then, hey, if that's not good enough for you, you get to see Goldberg later.
Now, I will say, AEW has its post show. This means nothing. But currently the post show is set for 8:15.
8:15, not 8.
Yeah. Well, they always give themselves that 15-minute leeway.
Oh, they do. I never watch the post shows of these things anymore. I'm always doing my own post show instead, which everybody else should be watching instead. Don't watch the post show for AEW. Watch the well.
Don't watch.
I guess you could watch the 8 o'clock thing or like that, but then tune in afterwards because I'm not doing the post show immediately afterward.
Watch both because I really want to see if Moxley wins, how Tony gets out of that one. But no, I think the reason I bring that up is because this show is going to go directly head to head with All In. That's a little scary for them.
And as far as Great American Bash, it's starting at 2 o'clock Eastern, and I believe it's listed. Let me double check again. I think it's listed as a 4-hour show. Let's see, Great American Bash. Yeah, so 4-hour Great American Bash starting at 2. That means that they're planning on that ending at around 6.
Oh, that's perfect. So you're telling me that there's no crossover?
I guess not. Now, if they do, because they're not going to do a post show.
I'm an idiot. I forgot. I just said AEW has their post show set for 8. And yeah, I guess there's a lot of crossover.
Well, it'll be because AEW starts at 1, I think, right?
Well, the pre-show starts at 1.
Pre-show.
Yeah, there's actual matches at the pre-show, so yeah.
Yeah. So AEW starts an hour earlier than Great American Bash. And then the first hour of Great American Bash is not going to be anything because they don't do matches on the pre-show for WWE stuff anymore. Because fuck, why would you want to put something on there that people would want to watch, you know? And that means that at 3 o'clock, when AEW is switching over to be the actual main card, they'll have already had an hour.
No.
2 hours, whatever it is.
Unless, what are you looking at? WWE says the show's starting at 3.
I'm on peacock.com or peacocktv.com.
Oh, well, yeah, it starts at 2. It starts at 2 with the pre-show.
Yeah, 2 o'clock pre-show.
Yeah, but that means the show starts at 3.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So they're starting at the same time.
Except that AEW has the pre-show that starts before that. Because AEW's pre-show doesn't start at 3.
AEW's pre-show goes from 1 to 3.
So from 1 to 3, AEW is going to be putting on matches, while from 1 to 2, nothing is happening on WWE, and then from 2 to 3, it's just talking. So for the entire pre-show, where AEW is putting on matches that people could watch, WWE was presenting nothing that anybody would want to watch. And then when it switches over to 3, it'll be like, yeah, but now don't you want to watch Great American Bash? And it'll be like, well, now AEW is starting the most important part. Okay. And then over the course of those 3 hours of what Great American Bash is, this shitty card's going to be there. And then that's going to end before AEW is over. And then AEW is going to go into their main event, like most important matches when Great American Bash is done. And they'll be bleeding into basically the very end of the AEW show will be the very beginning of Saturday night's main event. And at that point, everybody's going to be exhausted anyway. And your big thing is, well, don't you want to see Goldberg? Goldberg's sucked in his last 12 matches or so. And you're going to wait until 10 o'clock to do that anyway. So
now, knowing that it's Goldberg's farewell, I will say that's more interesting of something to put up against AEW. Because it's Goldberg's farewell.
You would think that they would move that.
And you would know that like Tony wishes he could have gotten Goldberg's farewell. That I feel comfortable saying. Like, Goldberg's the man in WCW, and Tony loves WCW. And it will actually be a bit of a, sweet moment. I think he should have retired a while ago, but like now he gets to do it on his terms. So I'm looking forward to it. The rest of the Saturday Night's Main Event card is poo-poo, but that's okay.
Well, all the poo-poo and all the pee-pee.
And you might even say, Tony, all the caca.
Maybe. Not as much gaga, as Pat Patterson would say. But Great American Bash, or the not so Great American Bash, is happening on Saturday starting at 2 p.m. with the pre-show, 3 o'clock for the actual show itself. So if you're not just busy watching All In, and if you have an extra screen that you can put this on or whatever like that, then that's where you can tune in. If you're choosing NXT over All In, I definitely would like to know why that's the case, and if it's in particular anything. Yeah, that was where I was going to get to. Is it just because of money, or is it because you don't like AEW, or is it because you genuinely do think that this is going to be a better show? Again, you might disagree with us. Maybe you're like, man, I'm looking more forward to this more than any other card I've ever seen in my life, and I hope it's fun because I got to watch it. And everybody else, I hope they have fun, but I am not looking forward to this at all. I think that 2 matches have the potential to be fun, and that they're the equivalent of when they do like this episode of NXT is Heatwave, and then the rest of it's just disappointing. So,
and by the way, that's typically how they presented the Great American Bash at times in the past. So
2023, I think, was the last one that was pay-per-view. And even then, I think it might have been like, now let me double check. Let me go to the handy dandy Smark out moment and see. 2024 Great American Bash was a TV show. 2023 was a special event. That was is that in Texas too? It seems like that might have been in Texas. Yeah, like that. Yeah, Cedar Park, Texas.
I remember
and 2022 was, I believe, an NXT just regular episode in Orlando. 2021 regular episode, 2020 regular episode, 2020. I know, that's it. So yeah, there's only been one other time that it was a pay-per-view, and that was 2023. Now that's not including, of course, the Bash, or Great American Bash not being a WWE thing in its original. The Bash was so stupid. I hate it when they switch that over. Dumb Vince idea. It's got to be just called the Bash now.
You know what, though? Ahead of his time.
How so?
Well, it's the not so Great American Bash. You don't want to call it the Great American Bash. It's just the Bash.
It really should just be the Great American Bash at the beach.
Well, now we're just adding different WCW pay-per-views together.
Well, if you want to do that, it could be the Great American Bash at the Beach Blast. Bash at the Beach is so much cooler. Bash at the Beach would just be, make the set look different. Oh, we can't fucking do that. We can't spend, $5 on that set. Okay, fine. Who likes fun, right?
Not a company that's making record profits, that's for sure.
No. But we'll hopefully have some fun watching this stuff in one way or another. And hopefully you had fun listening to this podcast breakdown. Now, remember, we do have plans to be covering all this stuff on Spark Out Moment and everything else. And the 3 events that are happening on Saturday are all going to have one post-show after Saturday night's main event, because that makes way more sense than me trying to do a post-show while covering and watching other stuff at the same time. So tune in to that. Also, stay tuned for the Evolution Pay-Per-Viewpoint predictions that we're going to record tomorrow afternoon. Keep in mind as well the Discord server that I mentioned and the Smark Play stuff. Hit the like button, subscribe, ring that notification bell, toss a little spare change our way, all that good stuff there, and go to amangotree.com. You'll find a link to all the Smark Out Moment stuff, Fanboys Anonymous stuff, and my own Tony Mango stuff that's out there. Go ahead and follow all of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and you follow me at Dude Police?
Yeah.
It's just like, so happy to support you. Follow me at Dude Police. Check out Fightful.com. Guys, we just switched Fightful.com over to WordPress. Please support Fightful.com. Supporting Fightful supports me and allows me to do more fun things with my friend Tony without stressing. So all the more reason why if you support Fightful, you're supporting Spark Out Moment, and vice versa. And I thank you.
We thank you for listening. We thank you. Oh, that's the evolution thing. Where's the right thing on here? Great American Bash. There we go. We thank you for listening. We thank you for all the support that you give us. And we want to thank you in advance for tuning in to the next episode. The evolution stuff. That's when I should have had the graphic up. But adios for now. This has been another Smark out moment. And we are being counted out.